Okay, here's a demonstration of the Harrington Group's Calibration Recall Online. Each user has a login, which is their email address. This application is hosted in the cloud, so you can log in from anywhere with almost any device as long as it is HTML5 compliant. That can be a cell phone, a tablet, your laptop, whatever. So go ahead and log in. Keep in mind that you can scale up Calibration Recall Online by adding more gauges, groups, and locations. To add more users beyond 5, contact us. Otherwise, you can manage your account through the billing feature within Calibration Recall Online. The first area that Calibration Recall Online displays is the gauge list. Here, you will see all your tools or use a filter to limit the results. You can also set the sort order and which columns to display. Over here, we have this filter area. With a filter, I can limit the results, as I mentioned, and they're easy to add and edit. So I'll add one here. Simply type a descriptive name here. Then choose your fields to filter or limit the results by. Here we can select different options to accommodate different types of dates and ranges. And then we can choose a specific date on the calendar or a rolling date. And we can add more fields to filter by. So you can choose from whatever fields you have or whatever fields that maybe someone else added. And one last example here. And there we go. And if we click on the filter, then we can see the results there. And it just happens to be one gauge met the parameters there. We can also change the order of columns by dragging them around. So if I took Custodian, put it up here before calibration due, then you can see how it moves it around. And we can export to Excel all the columns and fields we have selected would be included in that export. And there we go, a simple Excel file. If we uncheck a column, it will be hidden from the list, and then we can always check it to bring it back. Okay, so each tool has a detail area with all its information. You can click on one in the list or search for it with the search area at the top of every page. Simply click up here, type in something, and it returns results. Then we click on the gauge. Each gauge has multiple pages to view. This first one just shows the basic information for the gauge. The instrument status tab tells you where the tool is and the calibration schedule if somebody set one. Use the Calibrate tab to enter details for a calibration. CRO populates some of the fields, but you can change them. Click in the fields to enter your results, environmental conditions, and other information. Typically, users will enter more information than this, but here's just an example. From the timeline, we can review the calibration history and other entries and modifications to the instrument. If you want to view the calibration details, you can download a calibration certificate, which will display a PDF file of the information of the exact time of that past calibration. From the Attachments tab, you can add in manuals and other files, images, any type of electronic file. You can click this area to browse to a file, or you can simply click and drag a file and it gets added automatically. You can easily create reports here. You will determine the layout, sort order, which fields to display, and other settings. For the type, you can choose List or detail. A list report displays in landscape format with rows and columns like a spreadsheet, whereas a detail report displays in portrait format. This detail report displays each gauge on a separate page, but you can choose to display multiple gauges on each page. So we'll go back here. I can create a report. So here's just an example of creating a quick report. I'm going to make a calibration forecast sample. Type is Gage. The risk notification report would report on the risk notifications, which are kind of like actions if a gauge failed a calibration or some other notice like that. And the type will be list report, and then simply click save. For the filter, I'm going to choose calibration required, which shows all tools that require calibration, or I could select another one of my filters that breaks this down even further. For example, I could also limit the results to one location and a certain type of tool. And I'll sort by date due or calibration due here. And then the fields, you have to choose which fields you want to display on the report here. And you can also choose the order. Then when you're ready, simply click save and preview. And there we go. I can print this, save it, or simply view it here. We have our print and save icons at the top here. This is an area that admins have access to. In this first area in general, we have the general settings. You can add your logo so it displays on the reports. In the fields area, you can rename the built-in fields and add your own. If you add a field, you will determine its type. For example, I can click add field, and then we have our various types of fields with a description of what they mean. This custodians area you can use to specify people that are responsible for gauges. These people may not be licensed users, but you can type the names of licensed users if you want them to have this responsibility. We use the locations area to add options to the built-in location field. In the roles area, you can set permissions for groups of users. For example, this limited tool management role here. And it's very easy to add users. Simply click on add members, and you can type out part of their name. Then when we see a match, click on their name. You can add more users, simply type additional names. When we get a match, simply click on their name, then click add. In the users area, admins can easily add new users. Then CRO will send them an email so they can set their password and they will have the login link. An optional type of user is a view only user. They can log in and create filters and reports, but they cannot modify any data. We have this profile area up here for each user. And in this profile, we have this notifications area. Here is where they decide which emails they want. And if you are a current user of our Calibration Recall desktop program, we have a free import tool where you can import your data to CRO. So you would log in with your credentials, click on select database, browse to your database, simply click open, click the migrate button, let it do its thing, then click OK, and that's it. So we'll log out and log back in so that we can view our data here. It was a simple thing. I added a extra tool down here, gauge number 20, and we have its information. I mentioned we have HTML5 compliant option, which means you can use a cell phone. So here, as an example, I just want to show of how it might look on a phone, also with a view-only user. So this is just a sample. Of course, on the narrow phone, this is what it would look like, but you can still access the information. And I can click on a gauge and view its details and go through all the tabs and see all that information that I've been talking about here. We have a menu on the left, so you can display the menu and get to the other areas or hide that menu when you click on something. Thank you for watching the demonstration of our latest software as a service product, Calibration Recall Online. If you want more information, email us at sales@hgint.com, call 1-800 ISO 9000, or scan the QR code on the screen to sign up for a free demo for 14 days.